What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel. It's time for another episode of Wednesday Afternoon Worship today. At the request of a couple folks, namely Caleb Millenick Smith or Trainer Trey, who I think was Trey Rath a very long time ago. I could be wrong. We're cracking open our copy of the First World, Realm of the Fae, to talk about yet another one of the eldest. Today it's all about Shyka. If you're liking what you're seeing, like, subscribe, ding the bell for all of your Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition content. Today, this episode of Wednesday Afternoon Worship was brought to you in part by Lord Minant. Thanks for your help, man. Miss you, Doomsday Dawn. Hurry up and stop partying across all of America so you can play games with your friends, man. Anyway, let's hit it. Okay, so before we talk about Shyka, I'd like to again touch on the eldest and what they are. Now, remember, the first world, where the Fae creatures live, might sound all whimsical and chaotic neutral and covered in sprites and leprechauns and magic forests. Not quite. The first world was the first draft of creation by the gods. A first draft that, over time, they kinda just abandoned. So much so that the first world itself is cut off from the cycle of souls, so when you die in the first world, you don't. You just reincarnate again, as your soul has nowhere to go. Of course, you know, when powerful divine entities would abandon a world to its fate and stuff, that might leave an entire populace in total chaos, and those who rose above them, the wheat amongst the chaff, if you will, found themselves eventually able to grant spells to their worshippers, and as these individuals led the creatures of the first world through this dark time, they became known as the Eldest. So think of these guys a little less along the lines of like a core deity, and a little more along the lines of like a demon lord. We don't have stats, but same power. Anywho, Shyka is not a name. Shyka is a title, which is granted to the eldest with mastery over time in all its forms. Over the millennia, many different entities have held it, and continue to do so. A long time ago, the original Shyka called a convocation stretching across time, contacting all those who would eventually bear that title. At that place beyond the boundaries of time, they made a deal. Rather than restrict themselves to given eras, with one supplanting the next in chronological fashion, instead, they would share their reign in fits and flickers, so that each might experience a representative sampling of true eternity. As part of the arrangement, necessary to keep time from wibbly-wobbly timey-wimeying out, there is never more than one Shyka present at a given time. Yet that specific Shyka can change at the drop of a hat. A single incarnation might remain present for days, only to give way to a dozen others in the space of a single conversation. While the various incarnations retain slight differences in personality, all of them pool their knowledge with the others and have spent enough millennia living each other's lives that they see little point in maintaining the individuality. Think Ermac from Mortal Kombat, right? We are legion, for we are many. They are Shyka, and when they speak, it is with the blessing and insight of all of them, past and future. As you might imagine, many of Shyka's worshippers believe that the eldest quietly shepherds existence along the best possible timeline, away from those branches that would be disastrous, and that the eldest has already prevented the destruction of reality too many times to count. Now, down to the stats, shall we? As of First World, Realm of the Fae, Shyka has a single boon. We have homebrewed up 2 more. Everything else, I'm pleased to note for this part, does in fact come straight from that book. Shyka the Many is true neutral. Their domains are death, destruction, madness, and magic, with the subdomains arcane, catastrophe, divine, and insanity. Their favored weapon is the light mace, and their holy symbol, a broken hourglass. To perform Shyka's deific obedience, build something small and fragile, such as a house of cards, an ice sculpture, a sand castle, you get the idea, while contemplating the fleeting nature of existence and the inevitability of entropy. Leave your creation to decay at its own pace. In return, it's a +2 sacred bonus on initiative checks. which no one has a problem with, really, generally speaking. Anyway, we'll call these, though they're just kind of boons in this book, exalted boons. It's Entropic Shield, thrice a day, Augury twice a day, or Haste once a day. At 16th level, once per day as a standard action, you can gain the effects of Legend Lore. Save that the legends are recalled immediately, and you gain the most complete level of knowledge as if the person, place, or thing were at hand, regardless of its actual position. Your recollection of the legend takes the form of a memory borrowed from someone familiar with the subject matter. And at 20th level, you gain the ability to pause time for yourself or one creature you designate within 30 feet once per day. This functions as per time stop, but with a duration of 1 round. And now, we drift over to that Black Dragon Gaming homebrew, filling her out, because all the deities deserve 3 paths, right? I thought so too, yeah. Evangelist boons. It's Erase, thrice a day, Anticipate Thoughts, twice a day, or Displacement once a day. At 16th level, you gain a temporal pool as a Chronomancer, that being a wizard archetype, of a level equal to your hit dice, though you must spend points at twice the rate to activate Chronomancer abilities. And at 20th level, you may cast Time Stop once a day. Yeah, I know, seems kind of familiar, right? This time as an immediate action, because sometimes you just need 1d4 rounds right now. And it's Sentinel Boons, Ally Across Time 3 times a day, Time Shudder twice a day, or Army Across Time once a day. At 16th level, you gain the Martial Flexibility ability of a Brawler, but may only take teamwork feats because, you know, there's a bunch of voices in your head saying dodge, duck, dip, dive, and broken wing gambit. At 20th level, when you or your copies from ally or army across time use the Aid Another action, increase the bonus received to +3. Now, you know, as of Planar Adventures, of course, Shyka's passing out stuff too. It can't just be the core deities. Let's get a little flavorful with this one, shall we? Shyka's all about shepherding people and truly existence down the best possible path of time. So if you do a particularly good timey-wimey thing for Shyka in return, the next time a surprise round takes place that you are not aware of, you treat your initiative rolled as if you had rolled a natural 20 and may act in that surprise round as if it were a normal round, getting more than just a move or standard action. Now, Shyka is definitely a very unique thing in Pathfinder. Our gods are powerful, our gods are imprisoning demons in the earth, our gods are granting spells and things, but time is something we don't ever talk about. Time travel is something we don't ever really talk about either. Certain planets and certain planes and things of that nature are advanced a little farther, sure, but there's never any like, oh, better go back in time and fix a thing, right? That is what Shyka is for. Bringing her into your games brings the time travel aspect and trope 100% into the realm of Pathfinder, which can have as many crazy panning out options as you would like. Anything from basically just playing the butterfly effect for the rest of your days, or taking a bunch of wormling dragons into the past and letting them grow into great worms, because that's fair and balanced, and stop looking at me like that. It's good, I'm telling you. Now, I have built a custom race, though I don't think I'll do anything with it, in my very distant past, sort of like a wild hunt soldier, for lack of a better way to say it, that as an entire race was created to serve Shyka, dropped in and out of basically anywhere in time. Shyka needed an army to shake things up. Playing that sounds really fun to me. That's a campaign that will probably always look really different than everything else around it, because, you know, you're not just plane hopping, you're time hopping. The campaign, for once, does not write itself, because as a GM you are constantly on your toes. It's like that show Sliders from the 90s. You remember that one? I remember that one. It was good. Different worlds, different alternate realities, and you putting the pieces back together. But what do you think? Have we worshipped Shyka? Has time been a thing in your campaigns? And how did you break that wide open? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. It's another Eldest next week on Wednesday afternoon worship, who of course will need a couple more boons. And also an anti-paladin code. A face only a mother could love. Next week, it's Count Renok. See you then.